Whew. This year has been an absolute whirlwind. I've just been trying to keep my head down, knock out some demos, all while working like mad on the new The Pedal Zone shop in the background. And man, it's been exhausting. But it's also been totally worth it, and I can't express how much I appreciate the kind words that you've all shared about the shop. It means the world to me, and it makes me even more excited to soon jump into the new year with you all. But before we do that, I think we should just take a quick look at some of the cool pedals that have graced our sonic landscape this year. So without further ado, here's my favorite pedals of 2022. It rhymes. And first up, we have the Alexander Rewind, and this has been my first in-depth encounter with an Alexander pedal, and I have to say it's been a really enjoyable experience. The sound quality in this thing is just immense, and I especially found myself enjoying the tape and the analog modes. They just move and distort in an extremely musical way. On top of that, the feature set is just bonkers, and it's normally something you would just see in high-end big box flagship delay units. But here you get it all in this mind-bendingly compact enclosure. So, Alexander, thank you for making one of the finest multi-mode delays of 2022. And now it's time to say hi to the Chase Bliss Habit. And I have to admit, the first time I plugged into this pedal, I was completely overwhelmed. And that's not the first time it's happened with a Chase Bliss product, but I don't know, this one just completely knocked the wind out of me. It does normal delay, it does weird delay, it loops, it bleeps, and it bloops, and at first I honestly thought that this one had way too much overlap with blooper, and I had a hard time figuring out what this pedal wanted to be. But then after a while it dawned on me that this is currently the best Fribbertronics device currently on the market. Because with its long delay times, dual delay head, super mysterious modifiers, and the ability to scrub through previously played audio, this thing just becomes an absolute beast of an ambient textural machine, and the best reel-to-reel loop emulator out there. And now it's time to give a huge shout out to the Old Blood Noise Endeavor's XS V2. Old Blood have been on absolute fire this year and have released a staggering amount of pedals, and all of them have been really, really good, and I could easily have added like 2 or 3 of them to this list. But I decided to stick to the one that I've undoubtedly used the most, and that's the XS V2. The gain circuit in this version is just so much better than the old one, and it spans a much wider range of usable dirt tones. From low gain, really beautiful low gain, to completely blown out fuzzy high gain. And the fact that the dirt and modulation channels are completely independent now makes this one of the most useful devices you can add to your board. So no matter if you need to add, versatility and flexibility to a really compact rig, or just need a really good excuse to add another dirt modulation pedal to your already expansive spaceship setup, then the answer is always XS V2. And now it's time to lavish some much deserved praise on the KMA Machine's Chief Disruptor Fuzz. And my journey over the course of the last 6 years, from being a fuzz denier to a complete, full-blown fuzz believer, has been spearheaded by one company, and that's KMA Machines. And it was their Fuzzly Bear that proved to me how varied and textural fuzz could be, which led me down a rabbit hole of dirt that proved that I actually enjoyed fuzz way more than I thought I did. And now they've gone ahead and released an absolute triumph of a fuzz pedal inspired by my favorite fuzz circuit, which is the Big Muff. And this one contains 3 different clipping modes, which let you create everything from warm, vintage fuzz tones to more modern and tight distortions, and all the way to full-blown sludgy, doomy fuzzscapes. And on top of that, it has active bass and treble controls, a switchable parametric MIDI EQ with expression in, and a clean blend. So in my mind, there's no contest. This is currently the best Big Muff inspired pedal available in today's pedal landscape. about you, but to me there's nothing better, absolutely nothing better than a great sounding stereo delay that's easy and enjoyable to use. And the Dreadbox Raindrops delivers on all of those parameters. Straight out the gates, it seems like you just get a simple, no-frills digital delay. But beneath its simple and clean layout, it actually holds 3 different delay algorithms, which gives you access to washy modulated delays, pitch-shifted echoes, and dreamy ambient reverbs. And all of these sounds can either be kept completely clean and hi-fi or pushed to their disintegrating lo-fi limits. This pedal is just so good. Extreme bang for the buck, highly flexible, and it's just the epitome of the word fun. You never really know what you're gonna get with Death by Audio. The only thing that's certain is that it's gonna be loud and it's gonna be fun. And the Space Bender definitely delivers there. But it also delivers some of the most unexpectedly beautiful ambient modulation tones that I've ever heard. And it's all housed in one of the most amazing pedal interfaces I've ever seen. I mean, just look at those toggles. It just makes it such a joy to explore the vast sonic potential within this thing. And it does a lot. It does chorus, flanger, resonant comb filters, delays. But to me, the real magic resides in its envelope mode, which unlocks these absolutely surreal worlds of hazy, reverberating dream pop modulation tones. I just love this thing. Next up is the Earthquaker Devices Live Pedal V3. And I was actually really close to putting the Live Pedal V2 on my Gear of the Year list back in 2020. But I felt a bit weird about putting a pedal with limited availability on my list. Hence, I was really happy when Earthquaker announced that the Live Pedal V3 was here to stay as a fixed part of their lineup. And on top of that, this version is the best version of the Live Pedal. The tones are as crushing as ever, but on top of that you now get a dedicated foot switch for the octave circuit, which opens up some really cool creative possibilities. This is hands down one of the finest distortion pedals I've ever played, and it just rules. Alright, we're in the top 3 now, and here we're gonna start out with the Boss SL2 slicer. And the original Boss slicer, the SL20, is one of my all-time favorite pedals. And it was a pedal that was so far ahead of its time with its rhythmically intricate pitch-shifted step sequences that nobody really seemed to understand or appreciate it back then. And I seriously thought that this pedal would be forever sentenced to a life of discontinued underground obscurity. So you should have seen my face once Boss dropped this thing out of the blue. It was something like, ah, come on, ah, man, that hurt. This thing is most definitely built like a tank. but I was ecstatic to say the least. This thing delivers the same amazing stereo step sequenced patterns like the old one, and it even delivers more of them. And these patterns can just turn any old boring note or a chord into an absolute rhythmical dream landscape. I have to say that this pedal has just made an already great pedal year into one of the best pedal years ever. And next up we have the Keeley Halo. Now I have to admit that this pedal is the biggest surprise to me this year. And don't get me wrong, Keeley always makes killer stuff. I just have my reservations when it comes to signature gear. I just often find signature gear constrained and limited, but I quickly discovered that that was most definitely not the case when it comes to Halo, because Andy Timmons and the Keeley team has created the best echo verb I have ever heard. And with multiple rhythmical patterns, absolutely stunning stereo modulation, highly musical filters and saturation, this becomes an instant gateway to the dreamiest ambient delay tones you'll ever hear. And this pedal is now my secret post-rock weapon. it's time to reveal the top spot, and if you follow this channel, then it's probably gonna be no surprise at all what pedal is claiming the top spot. Yep, you guessed it, it is the mighty Meris LVX. Now, my expectations and hopes are always sky high whenever Meris release a new pedal. But with the LVX, they've created something that I couldn't even have imagined in my wildest ambient dreams. This thing is labeled as a modular delay system, but it goes far, far beyond the world of delay and actually lets you create your own dream tones from scratch via its highly intuitive menu system. Digital delays, vintage echoes, vast reverberating stereo soundscapes, magical modulation, melting lo-fi tape tones, epic synth sounds, pitch shifting, sequenced harmonies, looping, and a ton of other things that either my puny mind hasn't thought of yet or just isn't able to express with human words. A mesmerizing dream machine has landed on planet Earth, and I am just honored to be alive to witness it.